Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your sources and dive headfirst into some of the most fascinating ideas they contain.
Fascinating is right.
Today, we are tackling a question that sent shivers down the spines of conspiracy theorists and sci-fi fans alike.
Okay.
Could time travelers be secretly shaping the tech boom?
Ooh.
We're diving into an episode of the Alternative World podcast,
Okay.
aptly titled, Time Travelers Among Us, Hidden Evidence in the Tech Boom.
Sounds intriguing.
Buckle up because things are about to get weird.
I am buckled.
So what's really striking about this episode is how it plays on our collective awe at the sheer speed of technological advancement.
It really does.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
We went from bulky computers filling entire rooms to smartphones with more processing power than the Apollo missions in just a few decades.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It almost feels like magic, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, I still remember the clunky cell phone I had in high school. It could barely send text messages,
Oh, yeah.
let alone stream movies or
Yeah.
connect me to a global network of information.
Right.
Now I can video chat with someone across the world while simultaneously navigating a virtual reality environment.
Wow. Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Absolutely. And that sense of wonder is precisely what Alternative World taps into.
Okay.
They suggest that perhaps this rapid progress isn't just the result of human ingenuity, but rather the subtle influence of time travelers operating behind the scenes.
Oh.
They might be nudging innovation along, whispering ideas to brilliant minds, or ensuring that certain breakthroughs happen at just the right moment.
Okay, let's unpack this idea of the invisible time traveler.
Okay.
What kind of evidence does Alternative World present to support this theory?
Well, they begin by highlighting a few individuals whose brilliance seemed almost anachronistic.
Okay.
Like they were born ahead of their time. Nikola Tesla, for example,
Yeah.
had visionary ideas about wireless electricity transmission, a concept we're only beginning to fully realize today. Imagine transmitting power without wires.
It's wild.
It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel. Yet Tesla was working on it over a century ago.
Yeah, Tesla is practically a poster child for time travel theories.
Yeah.
He's always surrounded by an air of mystery,
Right.
with his claims of receiving messages from space and his inventions that seem so far ahead of his contemporaries.
Great.
It's easy to see why people connect him to this idea.
Absolutely. And to add a bit of technical context for our listeners,
Please.
Tesla's vision of wireless power relied on the principles of electromagnetic induction and resonant circuits. Essentially, he believed that energy could be transmitted through the air using carefully tuned coils,
Interesting.
much like how a radio transmits sound waves.
Oh, okay.
It's a concept that's still being explored and refined today, with companies like Witricity developing wireless charging systems based on similar principles.
It's fascinating to think that ideas considered fringe or even impossible in Tesla's time are now becoming practical realities.
It is pretty fascinating.
It makes you wonder what other seemingly outlandish concepts might be just around the corner, waiting for the right moment and the right minds to bring them to life.
Right.
Love that.
Alternative World also points to John von Neumann,
Okay.
a polymath who made groundbreaking contributions to fields like computing game theory and quantum mechanics.
Wow.
He's considered one of the fathers of modern computing, and his work was so advanced that it sparked debates about whether he had a glimpse into the future of scientific thought.
Interesting.
He even developed concepts in cellular automata that eerily foreshadowed the complexity of modern computer simulations and artificial life.
So ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't forget Steve Jobs and the revolutionary impact of Apple products on our lives.
Oh, yeah.
The iPhone, the iPad. The way these devices seamlessly integrate into our daily routines, it all felt like a giant leap forward when they first appeared.
Yeah, they did?
Remember how clunky and limited cell phones were before the iPhone? It was like Jobs had somehow pulled a sleek, intuitive device straight out of the future.
Yeah.
It really was.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Alternative World proposes a thought experiment. What if these individuals, with their seemingly preternatural insights, weren't just brilliant,
Right.
but were actually nudged or influenced by knowledge from the future?
Wow.
It's not presented as a definitive answer, but rather a tantalizing what-if scenario.
Okay, so we have these enigmatic geniuses pushing the boundaries of what seemed possible in their times.
Yeah.
But Alternative World doesn't stop there, right?
Right.
They delve into some more concrete evidence, often cited by time travel enthusiasts.
Yeah, and it's important to note that this is where the line between speculation and evidence starts to blur.
Oh.
One example they highlight is the photo of the so-called time traveler hipster from 1941.
Oh, yeah.
It shows a man in what appears to be modern attire,
Mm-hmm.
sunglasses, a printed t-shirt, and even a portable camera, standing among a crowd of people dressed in period clothing.
I've seen that photo, and I have to admit, it's pretty jarring.
It is.
Even with the grainy quality, the guy sticks out like a sore thumb.
He does.
It's almost like someone photoshopped a hipster from a 21st century coffee shop into a historical photograph.
Yeah. Now, skeptics argue that his clothing could simply be unusual for the time,
Right.
or that the photo itself could be a hoax.
Okay.
But Alternative World uses it to illustrate our inherent desire to find evidence of the extraordinary in the mundane.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks to the power of our imaginations and our fascination with the possibility of time travel.
It's like we're hardwired to look for patterns,
Yeah.
to connect the dots, even when those connections might be more wishful thinking than reality.
Exactly. They also mention a theory surrounding the film The Curious Case of Benjamin Button,
Okay.
where an extra bears a striking resemblance to a young Albert Einstein.
Interesting.
This sparked the idea of time travelers inserting themselves into historical moments,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps for observation research.
Or even subtle influence?
Yeah, I'm picturing a group of time travelers huddled around a monitor in their futuristic lab, debating which historical events would be the most fun to blend into.
Right.
Like, hey, let's go be extras in that Shakespearean play.
Yeah.
But let's be real.
Yeah.
These examples are more like intriguing coincidences than hard proof.
Right.
It's fun to think about,
Yeah.
but they don't exactly stand up to rigorous scientific scrutiny.
However, Alternative World suggests that the real evidence for time traveler influence might be hidden in plain sight,
Okay.
embedded within the very fabric of our technological progress.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more about this hidden evidence within technology itself.
Okay.
What are they referring to?
Well, they delve into the idea that certain inventions appear almost too advanced for their time,
Mm-hmm.
as if they were gifted to humanity rather than painstakingly developed through trial and error.
I see.
They point to the transistor, for example,
Huh.
a tiny semiconductor device that revolutionized electronics. Right.
While the scientific principles behind it were known,
Uh-huh.
some argue that its conception and rapid development were so ahead of the curve that it almost seemed like a leap of faith.
It's like someone dropped a blueprint for a revolutionary technology right in the laps of scientists who are just starting to grasp the concepts needed to understand it.
Right.
And it's not just the transistor, right?
Yeah.
They point to other groundbreaking technologies as well.
Exactly. They bring up examples like fiber optics,
Right.
which enable us to transmit vast amounts of data at the speed of light,
Mm-hmm.
and lasers, which have applications in everything from medicine to communications to manufacturing.
Right.
And of course, there's the internet, which has fundamentally reshaped how we communicate, access information, and interact with the world.
Totally.
These technologies, they argue, were so transformative, so pivotal in shaping the trajectory of human civilization,
Right.
that their appearance at specific moments in history seems almost orchestrated.
It's a provocative thought. We tend to view these inventions as the culmination of human ingenuity.
We do.
But Alternative World challenges us to consider the possibility that there might be a guiding hand,
Mm-hmm.
a subtle influence nudging these discoveries along.
And that brings us to the crux of their argument.
Okay.
If time travelers are indeed influencing our technological development, what might their motives be?
Yeah, what other motives?
Are they benevolent helpers accelerating our progress toward a utopian future? Or do they have a more sinister agenda, subtly manipulating us for their own unknown purposes?
Those are some heavy questions, and I'm eager to dive into them.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we've reached a perfect point to pause for now and let our listeners absorb these mind-boggling concepts.
Indeed, we'll be back in the next part of the deep dive to explore the potential motives of these hypothetical time travelers, the risks associated with meddling with the timeline, and what it all means for our understanding of humanity's place in the universe.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to the deep dive.
All right. So,
Before we delve further into the possible motives of our hypothetical time travelers,
yeah.
I think it's important to address a question that's probably on everyone's mind.
Yeah,
What are the risks of meddling with time?
that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the romantic notion of benevolent time travelers guiding us toward a brighter future.
Mm-hmm.
But even with the best intentions, messing with time feels like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, haven't we all seen those movies where someone goes back in time
Oh, yeah.
and accidentally steps on a butterfly,
Right.
only to return to a present where everything is completely different?
Exactly. That's the classic butterfly effect, a concept from chaos theory, which suggests that even a small change in initial conditions can have large and unpredictable consequences over time.
Right.
Imagine a time traveler introducing a technology slightly ahead of its natural time,
Uh-huh.
thinking they're accelerating progress,
Yeah.
but that action could trigger a cascade of unintended consequences:
Oh, wow.
economic disruptions, social upheaval, maybe even sparking conflicts we can't even imagine.
It's like playing a game of Jenga with the timeline of human history.
Yeah,
You pull out one piece thinking you're making things better,
right.
but suddenly the whole tower starts to wobble.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with something as complex and interconnected as technological progress,
hmm
who knows what might come crashing down.
It makes you realize that the motives of these hypothetical time travelers are absolutely crucial.
Right.
If they exist, are they acting with a deep understanding of the potential consequences of their actions?
Yeah.
Or are they driven by more short-sighted goals,
Right.
perhaps even unaware of the chaos they could unleash?
Okay, so let's dive into those motives.
Okay.
Alternative World brought up the Prime Directive from Star Trek,
Oh, yeah.
the rule that prevents Starfleet from interfering with the development of less advanced civilizations.
Right?
Could our time travelers be operating under a similar principle?
Possibly.
Are they just observing us from the shadows, taking notes and hoping we don't mess things up too badly?
That's certainly one possibility.
Okay.
Maybe they're here as historians or anthropologists, witnessing key moments in human evolution and technological progress.
Right.
Or perhaps they're scientists
Yeah.
studying our development and gathering data for some grand experiment back in their own time.
Interesting.
We might be the subjects of a long-term study, completely oblivious to the fact that we're being observed.
That's a fascinating thought,
It is.
though a little unsettling.
Yeah.
It makes us seem like the ants in an ant farm,
Right.
going about our daily lives while a giant unseen hand manipulates our environment.
Exactly.
But what if their motives are more interventionist?
Okay.
Could they be here to prevent specific catastrophes, technological or otherwise, that they know could devastate humanity?
That's another compelling possibility.
Okay.
Perhaps they're like temporal guardians,
Yeah.
subtly nudging us away from self-destruction.
Okay.
Imagine them as cosmic firefighters, putting out the flames of potential nuclear war, ecological collapse,
Uh-huh.
or even a global pandemic caused by a runaway artificial intelligence.
Wow.
It's a scenario that plays into our hopes and anxieties about the future.
It's like that classic sci-fi trope of time travelers going back to prevent a dystopian future they came from.
Right.
But what if their motives are more self-serving?
Okay.
Could they need something from us?
Like what?
Resources, technology, or even our help,
Yeah.
and are subtly manipulating our development to ensure we reach a point where we can provide it.
Alternative World explores that idea as well,
Okay.
suggesting that we might be more than just subjects of observation or even beneficiaries of their benevolence.
Yeah.
We could be being groomed as future allies, trading partners, or even a source of labor or genetic material for some unknown power in their time.
It's a bit chilling to think that we could be playing a role in a grander temporal game without even realizing it.
It is.
And if these time travelers are as advanced as we're imagining,
Yeah.
wouldn't they be masters of concealment?
They would.
I mean, if they can manipulate time, surely they can manipulate our perception of reality as well.
Absolutely. Alternative World suggests that they might be using technology far beyond our comprehension to stay hidden.
Oh, yeah.
They might be employing advanced cloaking devices,
Uh-huh.
manipulating surveillance systems to erase their traces,
Okay.
or even using subtle forms of mind control to ensure we don't see what they don't want us to see.
Wait, mind control.
Yeah.
Now that's just getting creepy.
But it does make sense in a way.
Okay.
If they're technologically sophisticated enough to travel through time, they probably have the means to manipulate information and perception on a level we can barely fathom.
Right. It makes you wonder if the rise of artificial intelligence, with its potential for surveillance and manipulation,
Yeah.
could be connected to their efforts to stay hidden.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it?
It is.
The very technologies we're developing to improve our lives could be turned against us, or at least used to keep us in the dark about their presence.
Okay. And if they're that good at hiding,
Yeah.
raises another question.
What's that?
Why bother hiding it all?
I don't know.
Why not just reveal themselves and openly guide our technological progress?
Unless, of course, open contact would create more problems than it solves.
Like what?
Maybe they're worried about causing mass panic, disrupting the natural flow of history,
Mm-hmm.
or even triggering a paradox that unravels the fabric of space-time.
Right, or maybe they're bound by some kind of intergalactic prime directive that forbids them from directly interfering with developing civilizations.
All valid possibilities. The fact is we just don't know.
Right.
And that uncertainty, that mystery, is what makes this whole topic so captivating.
Okay.
But Alternative World doesn't just focus on the potential motives and methods of time travelers.
Right.
They also explore the inherent risks associated with meddling with the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those risks are pretty terrifying.
Okay, let's talk about those risks. We've already touched on the butterfly effect, but Alternative World goes a bit deeper, right?
They do.
They delve into some specific dangers that go beyond just accidentally changing the course of history.
One concept they highlight is temporal contamination.
Okay.
The idea that by traveling through time,
Mm-hmm.
one could inadvertently introduce foreign substances or ideas that could have unforeseen and potentially devastating consequences.
Yep.
Imagine a time traveler accidentally bringing back a virus from the future that our immune systems are completely unprepared for.
Oh, yeah.
Or introducing a radical ideology that throws our social or political systems into chaos.
It's like opening Pandora's box of temporal tampering.
It is.
You never know what kind of chaos might spill out.
Right.
It makes you wonder if there are safeguards in place to prevent such contamination,
Yeah.
or if the universe is just a giant cosmic petri dish waiting for a time traveler to accidentally introduce a deadly pathogen.
It's a sobering thought for
Yeah.
sure. And then there are the paradoxes. Those mind-bending scenarios that have been a staple of science fiction for as long as we've been imagining time travel.
Yeah,
The classic example is the grandfather paradox.
right.
If you travel back in time and kill your grandfather before your parent is born,
Uh-huh.
how can you exist in the first place to travel back in time?
Right.
It creates a logical loop that seems to defy the laws of causality.
Right. It makes you wonder if there are inherent limits or rules governing time travel that prevent such paradoxes.
Yeah.
Or if the universe is just a giant cosmic game of Russian roulette,
Mm-hmm.
where every trip through time could potentially unravel the fabric of reality.
Those are questions that physicists and philosophers have been grappling with for centuries,
I bet.
and we're still searching for definitive answers.
Right.
But even without those answers, the possibility of time travelers influencing our technology raises some profound questions about our own agency and the nature of progress itself.
Absolutely. Are we truly the masters of our own destiny? Or are we just playing out a script written by unseen hands from the future? It's enough to make you question everything you thought you knew about innovation, creativity, and the forces that shape the course of human civilization.
Right.
An Alternative World doesn't shy away from exploring the psychological and societal impact of discovering that time travelers are among us.
That's right. They talk about the potential for widespread fear, paranoia,
Oh, wow.
and distrust if we were to confirm that individuals with advanced knowledge and technology were operating in the shadows, potentially manipulating events for their own agendas.
Right.
Imagine the suspicion that would fall upon every successful entrepreneur, every groundbreaking scientist,
Yeah.
every political leader.
It would be like living in a world where everyone is a suspect in a grand conspiracy.
Exact.
It would undermine our faith in institutions,
Yeah.
erode social cohesion, and create fertile ground for extremism and conspiracy theories.
It's a bleak picture, but it highlights the profound implications of such a discovery.
Right.
It makes you wonder if time travelers are real
Yeah.
and they're aware of these potential consequences. Are they taking steps to mitigate them?
Yeah.
Or are they content to observe from the shadows,
Right.
allowing humanity to grapple with the existential crisis of their existence?
Those are questions for the ages.
They are.
And it sounds like Alternative World leaves us with a lot to ponder.
Yeah.
But before we dive into their concluding thoughts,
Okay.
I think it's time for us to take a breath and let our listeners absorb the weight of these mind-blowing concepts.
Agreed. We'll be back in the final part of the deep dive to explore the concluding thoughts of Alternative World, their perspective on the future of this debate,
Okay.
and what it all means for us as we navigate an increasingly complex and uncertain technological landscape.
I can't wait.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've journeyed through a labyrinth of speculation,
Yeah.
exploring the possibility of time travelers shaping our tech boom, examining their potential motives, and confronting the chilling risks of tampering with the timeline.
It's been quite a journey.
But as with any good deep dive, we've surfaced with more questions than answers.
It's true. And perhaps that's the most intriguing aspect of this whole topic.
Yeah.
The lack of concrete evidence doesn't diminish the wonder and curiosity these ideas evoke.
Right, I agree. There's something inherently captivating about the idea that forces beyond our comprehension might be influencing the course of human history.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks to our innate desire to find meaning in patterns in the universe, even when those patterns might be more imagined than real.
Alternative World touches on this point in their conclusion,
Okay.
acknowledging that while the idea of time travelers secretly shaping our technological landscape is highly speculative,
Right.
it forces us to reconsider our assumptions about innovation and progress.
Sure.
It's like holding up a mirror to our own ingenuity and asking, where do these groundbreaking ideas truly come from?
Yeah, where do they come from?
Are we really the sole authors of our technological advancements? Or is there a whisper of something more at play?
It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
It is.
To think that our greatest inventions,
Yeah.
the ones we celebrate as triumphs of human intellect,
Mhm.
might be nudged along, inspired, or even
Mhm.
outright gifted to us by beings with a deeper understanding of time and technology.
They also emphasize that the rapid pace of technological advancement often feels almost magical,
It does.
especially when you consider how far we've come in such a short span of time.
Right.
Think about the sheer complexity of a smartphone, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
It's a marvel of engineering and design,
It is.
packing more computing power than entire rooms full of equipment just a few decades ago.
Right.
It's easy to see why some people might reach for explanations that go beyond the realm of conventional science.
It's like we're living in a science fiction novel that's constantly being rewritten.
Yeah,
What was once considered impossible quickly becomes commonplace.
right.
And the boundaries of what we believe is achievable keep expanding at an exponential rate.
And perhaps that's the key takeaway from Alternative World and our deep dive into this topic.
Okay, what is it?
While the idea of time travelers among us might remain in the realm of speculation,
Okay.
it serves as a powerful reminder to stay curious, to question our assumptions, and to approach the unknown with a sense of both wonder and skepticism.
It's a call to embrace the mystery, to acknowledge that our current understanding of the universe is likely incomplete,
Yeah,
and to remain open to the possibility that there are forces at play that we haven't even begun to comprehend.
exactly. And who knows,
Yeah.
maybe that openness, that willingness to entertain unconventional ideas
Mm-hmm.
is what fuels the next generation of innovators and dreamers.
Right.
Perhaps the true legacy of this debate isn't about proving or disproving the existence of time travelers, but rather about inspiring us to push the boundaries of what we believe is possible.
That's a great point. By engaging with these seemingly outlandish ideas,
Yeah,
we expand our own horizons.
you do.
We challenge our preconceived notions,
Mm-hmm.
and we open ourselves up to new ways of thinking about the world and our place within it.
And perhaps somewhere in the vast expanse of time,
Ooh.
a time traveler is listening to our conversation,
Whoa.
knowing that the seeds of wonder and curiosity we've planted will blossom into something extraordinary.
Well, until next time, fellow deep divers, may your explorations be filled with wonder and discovery, and who knows, maybe we'll catch you on the other side of the time stream.